you believe in something. That's the difference between faith and doubt. You can sit there and listen to your fears and believe in those and really worry about everything, or you can take smart action. Instead of asking questions like, well, what if it doesn't work out? Well, ask questions like, what if it does work out? These little mindset shifts make a huge difference. All right, welcome to part 3 of the How to Grow Your Business in 2024. So if you are a beauty business owner, you might have not heard part 1 and 2. You can go back and listen or watch those later, but this is going to be very important. And what I should really title this video is, what I wish I had known when I started my business 7 years ago. Because if I had done these few things that we're going to be teaching you guys, it would be such a life changer, not only for the quality of my life for those first few years in business, but also for the growth of my business. And so, Tony, what's the first thing we want to talk about today?
So the first principle, I call it principle. The first principle I want to talk about, and the one thing, me and you both discussed this, we wish we knew in our business when we first started out, is the principle of attention. She who owns the attention of he or her audience wins. What do I mean by that? Now's a tongue twister, right? But what I mean by that is, think about this. Whenever, regardless of the economy, there's always somebody looking for your type of service. It just gets a little bit harder, right? So that means you have to get in front of a little bit more people. And getting in front of a little bit more people means you have to gain more people's attention, right? So in order to gain more people's attention, the number one principle we wish we would have started, me and you both agree to this, is we wish we started running paid ads. Like that was the number one thing. And we're not just saying that as marketers, but we're saying that as, imagine getting in front of 1,000 people every day. Because Jake, how many people were you getting in front of on a daily basis when you first started out your marketing agency?
That's the thing. I was getting in front of a decent amount of people via Facebook groups and word of mouth and stuff. But now that I look back, I'm like, wow, if I just added fuel to the fire with ads, I would have reached thousands and thousands of more people. And it would have just been a game changer for me, because that way, instead of spending hours and hours trying to prospect, trying to message people, trying to post on Facebook groups, I could set up an ad and have it running on autopilot. And that's the thing. So many people say that I don't have time. Well, ads are going to run for you 24/7. You don't have to sit there and, micromanage them necessarily.
And that's the whole thing with, even with, me and my wife launching our new studio, I'm not concerned about, is she going to make it? Is she going to survive? Is it going to work? Because I just know I have to get more attention on her business than her competitors are getting on theirs. And the simple way I'm going to do that, and I'm not hiding it, I'm just going to run more ads and spend more money than my competitor. It's that simple. And, I know for some of you, you may not be in that position, but you are in the position to still take control of your business and get out there and get in front of more people consistently. And I don't mean posting on Facebook, posting on Instagram, posting an amazing reel and hoping 2 or 3 or 4 people like your post. What I mean is actually going out and making raw connections with people who have maybe followed some of your competitors. Go out there and click on their followers and say, hey, I noticed we're following some of the same people. Have you had permanent makeup done? Or have you had keratin treatments done? Have you had XYZ service done? Okay. The cool part about it is, for so many of you, you focus on, how do I get, how do I find my clients? Guess what? Everybody has a competitor in this world. Everybody has a competitor. Go on your competitor's profile and just see who they're following and make a connection, because I guarantee you, your competitor's not even connecting with their own followers. And that's how you win when you don't have any money. But
I think too many people have the limiting belief of, I don't have enough money to run ads. Like, I need thousands of dollars to start advertising. And the fact is, even from our marketing agency, we have packages that literally will cost you less per month than going out to eat to dinner once.
And Jake, it's funny, when we started back in 2018 with you, we were bootstrapping it. We were doing different things. Like we were very tight budgeted, paycheck to paycheck individuals. And, you have to also have faith. And I'm not saying spiritual faith. You have to have faith that it's going to work. We didn't, you asked me the other day, did you ever think that you would fail? And I was like, no, because I knew I just had to get in front of more people. And then that's when we started about the whole attention and how this podcast came about, right?
Well,
Uh,
that's the thing is like, and sorry to cut you off, but so
yeah,
many
no, no.
people like this is the most important part of any podcast. This is the most important thing I've ever said on any podcast is all of you listening or watching, you believe in something.
Mhm.
And that's the difference between faith and doubt. You either believe that it's not going to work out or you believe that it is going to work out. And I'm not saying have, blind faith and like do something stupid and think it's going to work out magically. Like that's not what I'm talking about. But I think you understand, or most people should understand that, like, you can sit there and listen to your fears and believe in those and really worry about everything, or you can take smart action. But the key there is to take action. And, instead of asking questions like, well, what if it doesn't work out? Well, ask questions like, what if it does work out? Or when is it going to work out? Like things that are more positive. And this is not just about, affirmations, but these little mindset shifts make a huge difference.
Absolutely. And going into like having doubt and fear and talking with a lot of our clients and things like that, the unfortunate part is whenever we brought on clients to our agency that have said, hey, this is my last dollar, it's got to work, it's got to do this, I have to have clients, I have like all that negativity and pressure right out of the gate when they're signing up, it's never worked out. And me and you instituted last year that if anybody ever comes to us like that, we're just going to gracefully say, unfortunately, we're not the company for you. And it's not that it's not going to work. It's that what we know is when individuals put so much energy in thinking that it's not going to work, they're speaking it to existence and it's not going to work. Somehow it's not going to work.
It's
And
the same thing. Like, I've been guilty of this in the past where it's like, I want to get in shape, I want to lose weight, and you start doing all the right things. You have the diet plan, you're going to the gym, and then 2 weeks go by, and it's funny because me and my wife have actually been going through this. It's like, oh, we're not losing weight fast enough, or it doesn't feel like it's working. I'm the same weight, but you got to remember it's a process, and things take time to adapt and optimize. It's not going to be instant results.
Yep. And that's all key to it is I knew going into it, back in 2018 with you, Jake, that it was going to take some time. Lo and behold, all it took was 2 weeks and we started seeing results. Mind you, again, we were paycheck to paycheck. I was stressing about Jake's upcoming bill. And you were super nice about it. You were willing to work with us. You wanted to see us succeed. But at the end of the day, you're a business, not a charity. And I understood that, that bill was coming up. I had to pay it if I wanted to keep her doors open. And honestly, not a lot of people know this, but I paid you before we paid her rent. And my wife asked me, I was like, why are we paying Jake before the rent? And I said, well, here's the thing. If we don't have clients, we can't pay the rent. So what's the point in paying the rent if I'm not going to have clients? Think about that. Think about and she's like, wait, you're right. Like the most important thing isn't rent. It's making sure you have clients. It's making sure you get in front of clients.
I've even seen people where they'll spend, $20,000 making sure they have a beautiful place and everything's decorated and pretty and nice, but then they have no clients. And so what's the point of having all that if you don't have clients?
Yep. I actually had an individual I was talking to the other day. She's like, I'm spending $100,000 on a build out. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I'm like, so what are you doing to get clients? She's like, well, once everything's done, I'm gonna circle back with you. I said, so you're gonna wait till everything's done and you're locked into 100K in debt, and then you're gonna wait to start thinking about how you're gonna get clients instead of start thinking about that way before. So it's mind blowing. So, but I think Jake, that is our number one, that we both agree that attention is the number one thing you need in your business, regardless of what phase of business you're in, whether you're new or whether you're experienced. Especially, I would like to say this though, Jake, especially when it comes to the experienced artists, because experienced artists tend to fall on their reputation.
Yep.
And as more and more competition comes in, your reputation is going to dwindle, and no one's going to care that you're 5 times master certified XYZ and all that stuff. It's just going to become a price war. So it's cheaper for you to start marketing and start gaining the attention now instead of waiting until you need that attention.
But I mean, I totally agree with that. But if you are someone who's experienced, or you have a better service, instead of making it what a price war like Tony mentioned, where it's all about who has the cheapest price, follow tactics like we teach in the No Fluff Guide to Growing Your Beauty Business, the book. We teach how to set yourself apart so that people are not just focused on the price; they're actually focused on the value. And so, that's all about the marketing side of things, but that'll be a different podcast. By the way, if you do want a free copy of the book, just shoot us a DM on Instagram, PMU Marketer, and I'll send you a copy. Anyway, so the other thing that I would go back and tell myself 7 years ago when I started a business is like, hey, Jake, you got to get more organized with leads. You got to have some kind of system because, right now I'm looking at my bookshelf in the background, and somewhere over there, I've got some notebooks. And in those little notebooks, I used to write down all my clients. Like I would write down their name, number, info. When I'd call them, I'd write down their notes, and it was so disorganized because it was all on paper. And then I'd have to like flip through and try to find them anytime I wanted to reference. And it was like very inefficient. But now I've found that there are actually softwares. For example, we have a software called Beauty Biz AI, but any kind of software, it's a CRM basically is what we call it. Tony, what does CRM even stand for?
Yep, it stands for Customer Relationship Management System. Now, for many of you, you may think that you already have that. Like, let's say you have Vagaro, Acuity, Gloss Genius, one of those other platforms. Those are client relationship management systems, CRMs, but they're for clients that have already transacted with you. Okay. What Jake's talking about, what you're talking about, Jake, and correct me if I'm wrong, is what about all those inquiries that haven't transacted with you?
Just think about it, like, and I'll let you continue in a second, Tony. I just want them to think about this. Like, think about all the people that have messaged you, contacted you, inquired about your service, looked at your website. Do every one of those book? No. In fact, you're actually doing a great job if you can get 1 out of 10 people to book, a 10% conversion rate, out of the gate. And so that means 90% of the people who have inquired with you have not booked yet. So how are you managing those people? And that's what Tony's referring to.
Yeah. And that's where, Jake, when we first hired you, you kind of impressed that upon us. And what you didn't have it dialed in the way we have it now, but I can't tell you how many times, whenever we're running ads, we need to follow up with every lead at least 3 to 4 times. Like if you're looking to hire any marketer and just get bookings and on demand, that's not realistic.
Yeah. So think about it. Like, let's say you get 100 leads a month or 100 inquiries a month, which that's completely average for our clients. A lot of them even get more. So let's say you've been advertising or in business 6 months. Well, now you have 600 leads. Like, even if you were to do the things we teach for sales, which is follow up, like, any sales companies or marketing company or any business owner is going to tell you have to follow up. The money's in the follow up to get people to book for the most part. Even if you were going to follow up with everybody yourself, like, how can you possibly do it with 600 people? You're going to be glued to your phone for hours and hours and hours. So instead, what if you had a system where you could just, shoot out a quick text message to 600 people or shoot out a quick email or a Facebook message? Well, that's exactly what a good CRM will do. And like I said, I'm not trying to sell you guys on Beauty Biz AI, but we do have a software that we have, and we're happy to give you guys a free trial if you mention it from this podcast. But we do have a software that does all this stuff. And so, whether you want to see a demo of it or if you just want to, look at one of our other YouTube videos, I think we have it. But yeah, I wish I could go back 7 years ago and say, like, Jake, get some kind of CRM.
It's not applicable to the beauty industry, but not having a CRM cost me over 6 figures when I was in real estate. And it's the same concept. I sold so many houses my first year. I was crushing it. I was making mid 6 figures my first year, but I didn't remember anybody that inquired that whole first year. So when the second year came around, I was scrambling to get all new people. So building a database, you're literally building almost like your own community of people that know, like, and trust you, that are willing to, and supporters that are willing to transact with you.
Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned database, because we literally have, like, last year we had 2 clients and it was same situation, totally different outcome. So one of the clients, her name was actually Marla, and she had her Facebook page shut down. And so she lost her Facebook page, which means she lost her Facebook inbox leads. But guess what? She had our CRM software. And so she had their name, number, and email. She was able to quickly text all her, inquiries and clients and say, like, hey, I just got hacked, or I lost my Facebook account. Please go like this new page. And like, it was up and running quickly, and she was able to bounce back, and she's doing better than ever now. On the other side of things, we had a client who did not have our software. They were just running ads. And when their Facebook page got shut down, they lost all their leads. And it was a huge struggle. Like, it was not good. And I still don't think they've ever caught up. And so having that database is like having insurance for your business.
Yeah. And for those of you who are listening and watching, Facebook is notorious for just randomly shutting down your profile. For example, if you're a permanent makeup artist, depending on what angle you may have taken your photo or your video, Facebook can classify that as self-harm. It's literally, they are that finicky. So as marketers, we do our best and we'll tell you, hey, you can't use this, you can't use that, just like you can't use before and afters. So we're not trying to scare you by saying your Facebook page can get shut down and instill fear in you, but we want to tell you that it does happen. And
like even my personal profile got shut down for no reason back in 2020.
Yeah.
And like, I didn't get it back until 6 months. And it wasn't like most people think like, oh, I'll just contact Facebook support and they'll make it right. No, Facebook support is too busy. They don't care about you. Even when I contact Facebook support back then, I had VIP support, but they were like, yeah, this is some kind of glitch. We don't know how to fix it. And so luckily I finally got my profile back, but imagine not having your main source of leads like in your inbox of all those clients for 6 months or forever.
Yeah, it's super scary. And us as marketers, we have so many stopgaps in place, but at the end of the day, we don't control Facebook. Facebook beats at its own drum and they make their own decisions. So it's definitely, it's super nice to know having that kind of insurance policy is out there.
Yeah, we were actually at a conference a couple of years ago and I forget what his name is, but they consider him the godfather of digital marketing. Like he's been around forever. But he was like, yeah, if you lost everything today, the only thing you would have left in your business is your database.
Yep.
And so think about that. If you lost your Facebook, your Instagram, your TikTok, whatever you lost, the only thing you're going to have left is your email list. And hopefully you have people's phone numbers too.
It's super scary. Database is so crucial. So crucial.
And just how we said, this is all kind of flowing together because like the first step on this podcast is we said, you got to get in front of more people and build more connections. Well, guess what? Having a database and a CRM stuff is going to help you keep those connections because the initial connection, the initial attention is great. But you know what really drives a business to that next level is repeat clients. And you can't have repeat clients if you don't stay in touch with people.
I would say honestly, right now, almost 30 to 40% of our business comes from repeat clients.
Yeah.
It comes from sending out a text blast or email blast. So it's awesome. So
yeah, because like, especially when people are thinking like, well, advertising expensive. Yeah, advertising can be pricier to get a new client compared to having a repeat client. And that's why with all of our clients, we sit down and say like, there might be some special circumstances, but for the majority of like 98% of businesses, we say, get somebody in the door, even if it's, a higher cost than you would normally think of just to acquire that client. And then have a special strategy, which we've actually, almost trademarked this strategy, but have a special strategy where you can actually get them to become not only a repeat customer, but a raving fan. And that way they're just like, almost like, for example, a lot of my clients are like friends/family to me, just because I get people in the door. And then once I have them as a client, I make them a repeat client and I take care of them.
It's all about taking care of your people. It really is. So, but awesome. Well, I think Jake, on our next podcast, what we need to do is kind of go over that secret weapon you're just kind of alluding to and talking about. So stay tuned for our next podcast on that.
Yeah, and we appreciate you guys for listening or watching this. And if you ever want to just sit down with either me or Tony and kind of go over what you're currently doing in your marketing and see, if there's any ways, and as you see, me and Tony like to teach. So even if you don't want to like sign up for our service, it's not a big deal. We'll look at your stuff, we'll see what you're doing, and we'll give you some advice. And so if you want to book a free business planning session, we do get booked up on those a lot. So if there's no availability, just save the link, but we do have the link posted below. Or if you're watching the podcast, just shoot us a DM on Instagram. Alrighty, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.